Hi, English 1 students. Professor Dean Ramser, determined dean. It is week 1, and I will make a video for each beginning of each week, and I'll make a video at the end of the week to go over what has happened. So let's do a screen share, and let's take a look at what we have on the schedule for this week. Let's go to English 1. Excellent. Okay. So the way I designed the course is you'll have on the home page, let's go to the home page there. So it should look something like this. I see that when I open up each week's assignment to add material, it expands. So it should look something like this. I'm going to view it as a student. Okay, so this is what it looks like for you as a student. Okay, so that's pretty good. Looks pretty good. So I'm going to exit the student view. And I noticed a couple things I need to do on my end. Change what you see on the side there. I'll do that while we're on screen. So you're going to see how I process the information. Okay. Oh, I didn't save it. Oh, well, I'll come back to it later. Okay, so let's take a look at the course information. The first part is the important dates. This is something published by the college. Just to be aware that the classes began on the 12th of August. The last day to add a full-term course is August 16th. The last day to drop a full-term class with the instructor and council approval is the 23rd. And let's go to another last day to elect pass or no pass. That doesn't apply for this course, maybe for another course. That's on September 13th. And the last day to withdraw from a fall class is November 1st. And then we'll have finals during the week of December 10th to the 13th. So those are important dates. Here's the online assignments. And this should open up. Let me open up this file. So essentially the class is set up so that you have reading assignments each week. You'll have writing responses to what you've read each week. You have an online discussion, and then you have your essays that are developed over the week. So you'll have essentially 6 essays. The first one is a personal narrative. It's a biography. Tell me your story. The second one is taking the same story and changing into third person. So instead of saying I, as you would in the first person narrative essay, essay number 1, you're going to go into the third person, which is he or she or they or him or her. And what I found when this assignment is done correctly is the student writer learns not only verb tense shifts, present, past, but also how to be more specific and clear when describing something. So that's essay 1 and 2. Essays 3, 4, 5, and 6 deal with the essays that you read from the Lowell Norton Reader, as well as in essays 5 and 6, combining the Lowell Norton Reader essays you've read, along with George Orwell's 1984, which you probably have read in high school. I know I've read it several times in high school. So those are the assignments. There's one unique thing called the rhetorical preces, and let's take a look at that. This is my welcome letter. I also emailed this out to everyone. The Lowell Norton Reader, 50 essays in the first 50 years is a must-have. That said, you could probably find many of those essays from the Lowell Norton Reader signed in this course online, as I have. 1984, I like the paperback edition, but you could probably find that in a PDF form in an ebook version in public domain as well. The writer's reference, you probably cannot find anywhere except you have to buy it. There's an e-version, Kindle version. I use that. I also have, there you go. Let's see, it's a little fuzzy. There it is. Okay. So I have that version as well. And I also have the Lowell Norton Reader. And that's a picture of my daughter and I at my graduation. I started college late at 43 with a GED and received my doctorate in education in 2018. And that's a photograph of my daughter, Maddie, and myself at my graduation. I had just turned 60. So for those that are starting college later in life, you can do it. I did it. Here's the grading rubric for the essays. And that's essentially what I'm looking at here is how well do you write a sentence, how well do you write a paragraph, and how well do you write an essay. So these are the rubrics for A through so forth. An A essay hits all the marks in good writing, from a succinct sentence that is full of information that builds on one another, to a well-organized paragraph, to a well-organized essay. The outline template that you'll use for essays 3 through 6 will help you with this organization structural part of writing an essay, as well as, I can't emphasize this enough, reading your essay aloud is really going to help you. Really going to help. You're going to hear things that you never imagined, things like spelling, logic, organization. So here's the syllabus, and it sort of references what I said earlier. This is the template provided by the college. And it's good to know this is transferable. It is 3 units. I saw this here, and check with your counselor to find out if you could do a pass or no pass for this course. I didn't think you could, but here it is in the syllabus. So I guess it must be applicable. MLA format, this is something that you need to learn. You can certainly Google it online, but you'll need to make essays 3 through 6 in the MLA format style, not APA, which is for psychology, sociology courses, or Chicago, which is for history courses. MLA is specific for English classes. So you need to learn that style. The logic part of writing, you can really hear when you read your essay aloud. It'll make sense to you or it won't. Even for those whose English is not your native language, it certainly helps to read your essay aloud. So that's the syllabus. What's next? Okay, it's evaluated online using, although we're not using quizzes, but this is part of the template provided by the college. There is an exam, so to speak, at the end of the course. It's a timed exam as best it could be. You'll be given a prompt, and you'll have a few days to, be honest and take 2-3 hours to complete the writing response. It's to mimic what you'll be doing at a CSU or UC for your junior or senior year, to meet that English proficiency requirement. So that's the only exam. Otherwise, it's just online discussion and writing essays. And these are the dates for each of the week. This is week 1, so it's August 12th to the 16th. And the last week is December 9th to the 13th. Don't cheat. It's so easy to catch. And this wording here that's on the screen was shared recently in a faculty meeting, so I put it up here. They want to have a score of 15% on turnitin.com, which is what we'll use for essays 3 through 6. Way to avoid having a higher score than 15% is to make sure that the words that you quote, that you copy, have quotation marks before and after each word, and you have the author's name, and you don't copy the entire sentence, only the words that you need to make sense in your individual sentence that you're writing. So don't copy chunks of information. That'll keep the percentage down. Only copy the selected words that you need to make sense in that sentence. Important dates. Okay, that's again. There's the assignments. A little different format than what was on this previous screen. Essentially the same information, just organized differently on the screen. Here's my bio for those that are interested. Here's some sample essays. You could certainly Google a cause and effect essay and find other examples, or narrative essay, which is what your first essay is, or a definition essay, descriptive, so forth. These are some samples that I've received from an OER, an Open Education Resource course that I used at another college. Here's a little note reader. I did find online several of the essays that I signed for reading and for doing the rhetorical preces, which will go over here in a minute. I uploaded 5 here. You could probably find most of them online, but I think having the little note reader in your hand is a lot easier than Google searching. But that said, I did include here for those that are still waiting for your book to arrive. Here's a few more essays. Again, buy the book. Okay, week 1 assignment, the rhetorical preces. We'll go over this in a minute. So these are the 3 essays from the Little Norton Reader that you'll read for week 1. They'll post 2 questions, each essay online on the discussion forum, and you'll answer any 3 questions posted by your classmate. You'll also read chapter 1 and 2 from the writer's reference, and again, post questions about those chapters and respond to your classmates' questions as well. And you have the personal essay. So this is sort of the template I use for each week assignment. You'll have some reading assignments for Little Note Reader. You'll have some Q&A about those essays. You'll have a chapter from the writer's reference and a Q&A about that, and you'll have an essay writing assignment. And then you have the rhetorical preces, which we'll go over here in just a second. And the icebreaker that you are now working on. And I'm just using the icebreaker as a way for you to become familiar with your classmates and learn how to sort of tell your story. Okay, here's a rhetorical preces, which I've mentioned a few times. So it's a template. It's a 4-sentence template, and I found this really helpful in helping student writers developing a way to read a piece of material, a piece of information. In this case, it's literature, it's essays, it's articles. It could be used, I guess, in architecture or art. It could be used in music. Essentially, you're writing a 4-sentence versus sync summary of what you read and how you're interpreting it. So the sentence 1 of this rhetorical preces, you identify the author, the creator, and a brief fact to establish credibility. Why is that person a good person to look at, to read about that topic? The type and title of the work is an essay, a book, piece of music, art, and when was it created. The date in parentheses, so that's Emily format. A rhetorically active verb is something that is very descriptive and shows rather than tells what's going on. For example, the verb tell or says or said or states is not very descriptive, but climbs into is a very descriptive visual verb. Climbing into, I can imagine what that looks like. And you have sort of a that clause, right? If the reason it's so important is because that would mean something would happen. There's some sort of consequence as a result of this topic that's being evaluated in this essay that you've read. Sentence 2, an explanation of how the author and that and how is part of the rhetorical context of 5 W's: when, where, who, what, why, and how. So sentence 2 explains what the author is trying to develop and what their thesis, their main argument was. Sentence 3 is a statement of the purpose of the author, what you think they're trying to accomplish by creating that piece. And sentence 4 is a description of the author's tone, attitude, the syntax, the choice of words they use, what kind of audience you think they're trying to appeal to, right? A politician is appealing to someone who's going to vote. A rock star musician is going to appeal to the audience that likes their music. An artist could be appealing to perhaps someone who appreciates art, but maybe a fellow artist, and so forth. So that's a 4-sentence structure. Here's an example of this rhetorical preces. You could certainly find many examples by Googling rhetorical preces. Right here. And you can see other examples of it. I think it's a very useful template, very useful exercise to help students, writers learn how to read and then write a brief summary of what it is that they read. This rhetorical preces exercise in this course can be used for essays 3, 4, 5, and 6. Because you'll have rhetorical preces on each essay you read each week, sometimes 3 or 4 essays each week. By the time you get to essay 3, you would have read probably a dozen or so essays. And essay 3 is an essay that is focused on one of the essays from the assigned reading from the Little Norton Reader. Make sure that the essays that you write, the rhetorical preces, are essays that are assigned, and make sure that essays 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 reference essays that were assigned from the Little Norton Reader. So that's a sort of a caveat to this assignment. So that's an example. In this handout here, I have a blank slate that may be helpful for some. You can use that. There's also a word bank, which is very helpful, I think. With that said, if you can, have a printout of active verbs, have a printout of descriptive phrases, have a printout of adjectives that describe this topic that you're referencing, and have those things next to you when you're writing. It's a lot easier to look at a piece of paper next to your computer than to try to think of what that word is or what's another word like that I could use. And when you Google something, you're only going to find that word, just like with a dictionary. So I strongly recommend that you have a printout of these word banks that you can use, like active verbs, adjectives, adverbs, and so forth. That said, these banks of words should be something that is related to writing a literary analysis, as opposed to a word bank of words that describes a engineering feat or a biological process or some sort of astrophysical phenomenon, right? Because in this course, it's English, so you're writing about something, about another piece of writing. So make sure your word banks have some connection to literary analysis. And again, these word banks are designed to help you. And what I found over the course of my time teaching and using this template is that students, after 5, 10 times of writing rhetorical preces, begin to get the hang of it and make it their own. They then make the language and the nuance in those 4 sentences their own and their own analysis. So very helpful, very, very helpful. So that's rhetorical precis, and that's where we are. So that's sort of the assignments for week 1. I'm going to sign off here and not spend too much time. I'll make another video at the end of the week to go over what we've covered. I'll also have an online Zoom session, usually on Friday in the morning, where you can jump on and we can discuss things. It is recorded, so you can keep your face muted, just have your name tag on the screen, but it gives us a chance to have dialogue over what's going on in the course for that week. So I'm going to sign off here. Stop share. If you have any questions, give me a holler, and I'll end it right now. Thanks so much, and welcome to English 1.